This video will discuss using Excel to draw a project network diagram using the example of problem 314. In this problem, there are activities A through K, and the predecessors are given in the worksheet provided. A project network diagram is important to be able to solve for the critical path and answer other questions about the project. There's a variety of software packages you could use to draw this diagram, or you could obviously use pencil and paper. But if you want to create one in Excel, it's really fairly simple and almost as good as really any other software program that you could use for this purpose. In our project, we see there are 3 activities that have no predecessors. To add a node for an activity, go to Insert, and then in the Illustrations section, there's a button that represents the shapes. If you click it, it will expand to give many different shapes that you can use. I'll simply just use the oval, and then in the worksheet, draw an oval. I'll simply use the default color, but you can of course change the color if you like. I'll right-click, choose Edit Text, and then just type in the activity number. If you want to highlight the text, go to Home and change the size or the alignment. You can certainly do that. We won't emphasize strongly this aspect of the diagram. Mostly what we want to be able to do is see the relationships between the activities. Now that we have one activity drawn, it's very simple to put in the nodes for the other activities. We'll just right-click, copy, and then right-click and paste. And then to add other activities, I'll just click in the text box and change the letter. I'll repeat this for activity C, which is the other activity with no predecessors. If we get to activity D, we see that it has one predecessor, activity C. So by copying and pasting, I'll create the node for activity D. Now to create the arrow that represents the precedence relationships, I'll go to Insert. In the Illustrations section, click on the button for Shapes and choose the arrow. And I'll just draw the arrow from C to D. C is the predecessor of D. We would also say that D is the successor of C. Now we have an activity E that has 2 predecessors, B and D. So I'll copy and paste, create the node for activity E, go to Insert, Shapes, and draw 2 arrows into activity E. We see that F and G have the same predecessors. So we'll draw 2 nodes for F and G by copying and pasting. And we'll draw them somewhere out here where we can fairly easily draw an arrow from both A and E. So F and G both have A and E as predecessors. So I need two arrows leaving A and two arrows leaving G. Remember, to draw the arrow, you go to Insert, Shapes, and I need to do this twice for E. What we see here is that an activity like A or E, we would say, is an activity with multiple successors. In this case, two successors, because two activities come directly after E. Now we'll finish the diagram off. Activity F has one successor, that's H. Activity I comes after activity G. Activity J comes after activity C. So I'll copy and paste and put J down here toward the bottom of the diagram so that I can draw an arrow from activity C. Finally, activity K has two predecessors, H and I. And I still need to change the label to K. In this project, what we can see is there are two completion activities or finishing activities. Those are activities J and K. J and K have no successors. We have three starting activities, A, B, and C. Those are activities that have no predecessors. So those will be 5 activities that will require some special treatment when we apply our rules for determining the critical path.